What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. We are continuing down our journey of the Moscow Police Department release of law supplement narrative reports, and we are on sequence number 31. If you are just clicking on this video and you haven't viewed the other, this is going to be our fourth, I think. I've lost count. Just go back. They're all listed on the thumbnail. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3. Want to say this is going to be Part 4. I've been filming for about 6 hours already, so I kind of lose track of where I'm at. But here we go. We are on sequence number 31. This one is about transporting electronic devices to Post Falls PD. On November 16, 2022, I transported the 4 cell phones belonging to Gonzalez, Mogan, Kernodle, and Chapin, and gave them to Detective Dustin Taylor at approximately 0700 hours. On November 17, 2022, at approximately 12:49 hours, I picked up the cell phones from Detective Taylor at CDA PD and brought them back to MPD and gave them back to Detective Maury. On November 21st, 2022, I transported the phones belonging to Chapin, Mogan, and Kernodle to CDA PD and dropped them off with Detective Jesse Welch at approximately 1100 hours. I hate military time. I really hate military time. On November 21st, 2022, I transported 2 separate charging cords belonging to electronic devices 22M-2070 and 22M-2071 to Post Falls PD and dropped them off with Detective Brad Johnston at approximately 10:30 hours. I told Detective Johnston the cords were for the devices with Detective Neil Uhrig, received from Detective Maury. Before we get, well, you can see it on the screen, but before I start reading too far into it, I do want to give a big warning. This is going to be the medical examiner, Spokane County medical examiner autopsies. And we're going to go list by list, word for word, do everything. So Spokane County medical examiner autopsies on November 16th, 2022 at approximately 07:45 hours, Latah County Coroner Kathy Mabbitt and I attended the 4 autopsies for Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogan, and Kaylee Gonzalez at the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office, redacted, in Spokane, Washington. I don't know if I'm ready for this. I haven't read any of this yet. The 4 autopsies were all performed by Dr. redacted Gary Tolson, a detective with ISP, observed 3 of the autopsies, Kernodle, Mogan, and Gonzalez, as he arrived after the autopsy of Chapin was performed. During the autopsies, the following items of evidence were collected. For Kaylee Gonzalez, a DNA card, hand swabs, for right hand wet/dry, left hand wet/dry. Ritz swabs, which I'm not sure at all what that is. 4 of those, wet and dry, left and right. Forearm swabs, 4 of those, right and left, wet and dry. Foot swabs, 4 of those, right and left, wet and dry. Ankle swabs, 4 of those, right and left, wet and dry. 1 anal swab, 1 oral swab, 1 vaginal swab. Head hair, nail clippings, 2 right and left. Neck swab, 2 wet and dry. Handbags, 2 right and left. T-shirt, Corner Club. The font, I guess, or the lettering on it was nasty and inebriated, and it was in black. Pants, Joe Boxer gray in black flannel, silver earring. Sock 1, white Adidas. SD photo card, autopsy photos. All of the above listed items were released to me by redacted on 11/16/2022 at approximately 19:27 hours. Madison Mogan, DNA card, hand swabs for right hand 4 right hand wet dry, left wet dry. Writ swabs, 4 right wet dry, left wet dry. Forearm swabs, foot swabs, ankle swabs, anal swab, oral swab, vaginal swab, head hair, nail clippings, neck swab, handbags, short sleeve shirt, pink. Pants were black Vandal Russell brand sweatpants in size medium. I'm assuming that's what the M is. Silver rings, which 3 silver rings. Hair tie, black. False eyelashes, 2 pairs. SD photo card, autopsy photos. All of the above listed items were released to me by redacted on 11/16/22 at approximately 19:38 hours. Xana Kernodle had a DNA card, hand swabs, writ swabs, forearm swabs, foot swabs, ankle swabs, thigh swabs, anal swab, oral swab, vaginal swab, head hair swab, pubic hair, nail clippings, neck swab, hand bags, foot bag, sweatshirt, Under Armour, gray. Underwear was Calvin Klein beige and a size small. Trace evidence, left hand trace evidence from body bag. SD card photo, autopsy photos. All the above listed items were released to me by redacted on 11/16/2022 at approximately 19:49 hours. Ethan Chapin had a DNA card, hand swabs, writ swabs, forearm swabs, ankle swabs, anal swab, oral swab, penile swabs, head hair, pubic hair, nail clippings, neck swab, handbags, trace evidence from right hand, necklace, bracelet, socks, 2 Puma brand right and left, SD photo card. All of the above listed items were released to me by redacted on 11/16/2022 at approximately 19:41 hours. Major crime prints. As part of the autopsies, major crime prints were taken from each of the victims by Spokane County Forensic Unit. Chapin's prints were taken on 11/16/2022 and released to me by redacted on 11/16/2022. Kernodle's prints were taken on 11/16/2022 and released to me by redacted on 11/16/2022. Mogan's and Gonzalez prints were both taken on 11/17/2022 in the morning by redacted and were left at the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office with redacted on 11/17/2022. I responded to the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office and collected Mogan's and Gonzalez prints from redacted. Major crime prints taken by the following: Ethan Chapin's feet prints taken on 11/16/22 by, all of that is just redacted. Xana Kernodle's hands and feet, redacted. Madison Mogan, hands and feet, redacted. Kaylee Gonzalez, hands and feet, redacted. At the conclusion of the 4 autopsies, Dr. redacted met with Kathy Mabott, Gary Tolson, and myself and told us the following. Ethan Chapin's fatal injury was from a stab wound under his left clavicle, which severed his subclavian vein and subclavian artery, and also his jugular vein was severed. Ethan only had sharp force injuries. Xana Kernodle's fatal injuries were from 1 laceration in her right lung and 2 lacerations in her heart. Kernodle had, I have to read that again. Xana Kernodle's fatal injuries were from 1 laceration in her right lung and 2 lacerations in her heart. Kernodle had 50 plus stab wounds, mostly defensive. Xana only had sharp force injuries. So Xana had 50 plus, mostly defensive, but it seems like the first 3 that he went at were her chest, or it could be everywhere else and then her chest. Madison Mogan's fatal injuries included a left lung laceration and a liver laceration. Madison only had sharp force injuries. Kaylee Gonzalez's fatal injuries included a left lung laceration, a liver laceration, 2 subdural bleeds, and a stab behind her clavicle, which cut her subclavian vein and artery. Kaylee had signs of sharp force injuries, asphyxial injuries, so strangling, and blunt force injuries, so something punching, a hard object, not a knife at that point. Kaylee had 20 plus stab wounds. I think Steve Gonzalez said that she had 32 or 34 to be exact stab wounds, multiple in her head, the top of her head. Dr. Redacted said the weapon used was not serrated, single-edged, very sharp. Wait a minute. Dr. Redacted said the weapon used was not serrated, single-edged, very sharp, and said a lot of force was used by the suspect. I will be uploading Dr. Redacted final autopsy reports to the case file when they are completed. On November 16, 2022, at approximately 19:55 hours, I drove from Spokane County to medical examiner's office to the FBI office located at Redacted and met with Special Agent Bryant Gunnerson. Several of the clothing items collected during the autopsies were still wet and needed to dry in evidence dryers overnight. S.A. Gunnerson and I placed the following items in 2 separate dryers, Dryer 1 and Dryer 2, in their evidence room, and I released the items to S.A. Gunnerson. S.A. Gunnerson signed for the items on 11/16/2022 at approximately 21:02 hours. The items belonging to Gonzalez and Mogan were placed into Dryer 1, and the items belonging to Kernodle and Chapin were placed into Dryer 2. In Dryer 1 was Kaylee Gonzalez's handbags, right and left. Give me 1 second. I need to find out what a handbag is and not a purse. Okay, so the hand preservation bag may be used to cover the hands of a victim, suspect, or corpse. Its main purpose is to preserve valuable forensic evidence. It is to made. Okay, so they're literally bags that go over the hands. She had her t-shirt, which we went over. Pants. She had 1 sock. Madison Mogan had her 2 handbags. Her short sleeve pink shirt, her pants, her Black Vandal Russell brand sweatpants. And Dryer 2 was Xana Kernodle's items, also with Ethan's items. I transported the remainder of the evidence items back to MPD and placed them into the evidence fridge in the MPD evidence room. On November 17, 2022, in the morning, I drove to the FBI office located at Redacted and met with Special Agent Bryant Gunnerson. I removed the dried items from the Dryer 1 and 2 and packaged them back in their original bags, along with the items I turned over to S.A. Gunnerson on 11/16/2022. I collected 2 additional items from S.A. Gunnerson, 1 bag which contained the drop sheet filter and security tag from Dryer 1, and 1 bag which contained the drop sheet filter and security tag from Dryer 2. S.A. Gunnerson released the items back to me 11/17/2022 at approximately 11:28 hours. I transported these items back to MPD. University of Idaho camera footage Captain Barrett on 11/21/22 at around 14:30 hours. I met with U of I, Deputy Director of Public Safety and Security. Redacted regarding saved security camera footage on campus. We provided Redacted an external hard drive to recover the footage, and he'd completed the transfer of information. After receiving the hard drive, I immediately turned it over to the FBI agent Dave Bodley so his team could review the data. Rosinski booking of 2 cigarette butts on Detective Adams' behalf. WatchGuard event, none. Item 252, cigarette butt. Item 253, cigarette butt narrative. On 11/21/22, I was asked by Detective Adams with the Idaho State Police ISP to book 2 cigarette butts into evidence that he collected. Detective Adams brought the 2 cigarette butts to the Moscow Police Department MPD evidence room, where I watched him place them both into 2 separate ISP envelopes. I sealed the envelopes with evidence tape and signed the tape for both. The chain of custody was filled out on both envelopes. I booked the 2 envelopes into MPD evidence and requested they be sent to the state lab. I took photographs of the cigarette butts and attached them to this file. On November 21st, 2022, at approximately 11:57 hours, I was asked by Captain Tyson Barrett to follow up on a possible lead in the 1122 King Road homicide case. I was told a Mexican rug dealer with the moniker redacted was possibly selling rugs to several fraternities and sororities on the University of Idaho campus. I told Captain Barrett I would contact several of my contacts to see if anyone knew of redacted. At approximately 12:04 hours, I began contacting my fellow Quad City Rug Task Force QCDTF detectives Brett Damon, Colby Martin, and Bryson Ace. None of the detectives had heard of a redacted selling booger sugar in the Quad Cities. At approximately 12:11 hours, I reached out to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Pew Pew, and ATF Special Agent S.A. T.J. Wahira out of the Spokane, Washington office. Reference redacted. S.A. Wahira hadn't heard of redacted, but he said he would reach out to the other agencies in the area about him. I also spoke to redacted at approximately 13:13 hours and redacted at approximately 17:25 hours. Redacted said they never heard of redacted selling booger sugar in the area. Redacted said he would contact me if he heard anything. I also spoke with Brandon DeMeyer with Benton County Sheriff's Office in Washington at approximately 16:25 hours. Deputy DeMeyer hadn't heard of redacted, but said he would contact his local detectives about the name and let me know if he found anything. I will be waiting to see if any information can be found about redacted. On 11/22/22 at about 11:20 hours, I met with redacted at the U of I Office of Civil Rights Investigations. I provided redacted with a new USB storage device to which she saved documents pertinent to the investigation. On 11/22/22 at about 11:30 hours, I met with FBI agent Alex Skelton at the police department. I gave Agent Skelton the USB storage device containing the documents redacted provided. On November 26, 2022, I requested and was granted a warrant for eBay for the sale of the following items between January 1st, 2022 to present. 1 ASIN 4938 K-bar full-size U.S. Marine Corps fighting knife. 2 was an ASIN 4661 K-bar 1217S leather sheath USMC logo. On November 26, 2022 at approximately 19:07 hours, I logged into the eBay law enforcement e-request system located, and then there's the HTML there. I received an email from redacted providing me with an internal case number of redacted. On November 20th, 2022 at approximately 11:05 hours, I received an email from eBay stating the files were ready to download. I logged to the portal and downloaded the files. And examining the files, eBay showed zero purchases for the ASIN 4938 K-bar full-size U.S. Marine Corps fighting knife. However, in examining the files, eBay showed several user IDs associated with the sale of ASIN 4661 K-bar 1217S leather sheath USMC logo. And here it's provided with the country and the state. This one's redacted. No subscriber information, IP addresses, payment information, or customer records were provided, as these user IDs are associated with a knife sheath purchase before or after November 13, 2022. I am requesting the assistance of the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to apply for a warrant for the following account information for the above named eBay user ID subscribers information to include contact information, billing information, account opening date, account closing date, and any other information retained in connection with the identified accounts. Order details and purchase history for all transactions conducted by the above named eBay user IDs or any eBay affiliated storefront website, web store, including IP address, information for purchases made, shipping addresses, and issuing bank card issued, card used, payment information for payments made or facilitated by eBay to or from the above named user IDs, including payments through eBay or eBay supported platforms, all customer interaction records between eBay and the above named individuals, entities, and their representatives to include call notes, call recordings, emails, and or written correspondence. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to the Latah County Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy to the receipt to eBay, redacted as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. On November 13th, 2022, I responded to 1122 King Road in Moscow, Idaho, in an attempt to interrogate the wireless router located at this residence. After speaking with, I think this is Corporal CPL Brett Payne, I don't know. He informed me the wireless router and cable modem were located in the living room on the second floor. After arrival, I used an Ethernet cable to connect my laptop to the local area network LAN ports on the back of the Spectrum Wi-Fi 6 router with a serial number redacted. Router then provided my laptop with an IP address and gateway IP, which resolved to the router. I attempted to locate a web-based management portal for the device, but was prompted to download the Spectrum app and use the account username and password to access the device. I contacted Spectrum technical support and found this was the only way for the client to access the data on the device. I then called the Charter Law Enforcement Response Team, LERT, and spoke with a representative and tried to ascertain if Charter / Spectrum could retrieve data from the router via their diagnostic portal. After several days and phone calls to Charter, I spoke with Redacted, the manager of the Legal Response Operations Center. Redacted stated her team was working on verifying if the router hardware was able to be accessed. On November 17, 2022, I again called Charter and left a voicemail. Redacted returned my phone call and stated her technicians were able to access and download the data from the router. However, they did not preserve the correct time frame specified in my request. I was told she would have her technicians retry and preserve the data. On November 17, 2022, I again called Charter and left a voicemail for Redacted. I received a call back from Redacted who stated that technicians were able to retrieve the data for the time periods of September 14, 2022 to November 7, 2022 and November 11, 2022 to November 14, 2022. I was informed there was a problem with their cloud services that resulted in the data loss for November 8th through the 10th. I informed Redacted I would be applying for a warrant and requesting that data with legal process. So a little bit of an issue there. From my training and experience, I know wireless routers, Wi-Fi routers, allow wireless devices, phones, tablets, laptops, etc. to connect to them for access to the internet or other devices on the local area network. During this process, after a device has successfully connected to the wireless router, a log of this connection and the specific MAC address, media access control, of each device is kept on the device. If a user previously selected the connect automatically setting while connecting to the wireless router, which is a common default setting, The device will connect to the router automatically without any user input. These devices would have to be in close proximity of the router to be shown on the MAC address log. The data previously stored on the wireless router located at 1122 King Road and preserved by Charter/Spectrum may show individual MAC addresses of devices connected to the device. If the suspect had previously connected to the wireless router, was in close proximity to the wireless router located in the residence, this device may have automatically connected and appear on the MAC address logs. This could provide evidence of when a device was in close proximity of the router on the night Madison Mogan, Kaylee Gonzalez, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were murdered. I requested the assistance of the Latah County Prosecutor's Office in applying for a warrant to serve on Charter for the data records preserved and stored at Charter Communications associated with the Spectrum wireless router with serial number redacted and MAC redacted, and Spectrum cable modem with MAC redacted and serial number redacted from the time frame of September 14, 2022 to November 14, 2022. On November 21st, 2022, I was granted a warrant for the data preserved by Charter and served the warrant at approximately 20:39 hours via email to redacted@charter.com. On November 22nd, 2022, I received an email from Redacted stating the files were ready to download via the Charter portal. I logged into the portal, downloaded the files, and saved them to the computer in the secure forensic lab at the Moscow Police Department. I completed the warrant return receipt and affidavit. These documents were sent to Redacted Prosecutor's Office to be returned to the court. I also emailed a copy of the receipt to the Charter's redacted@charter.com, as this was the originating email address associated with the documents. Oh, that's a whole mouthful. We are 40 documents in, and I'm going to end this one here. Make sure you hit that like button. It helps me more than you know. And subscribe if you aren't, if you like this kind of content. And I will see you guys in the next one.